Hello my dear future chartereds. Welcome to paper discussion series by More Academy. In this playlist, I'll be discussing December 2021 paper of Principles and Practice of Accounting. I'll be sharing tips and tricks of how to approach exam while discussing the paper and solution. I have prepared one video per question for your easy reference. I'm sure that you will find this playlist useful for revision and it will improve your marks in the examination. So, all the best for your studies and let us begin with your paper analysis first. Once you get your question paper, I would recommend you to be calm and avoid jumping to writing the answers. The best strategy is to read the question paper and plan which questions are you going to solve. Also decide the order in which you will solve the questions. Now the first question was having three sub questions. So question number 1A, B and C. It was divided into practical and theory. Question number 1A was a theory question. Question number 1B was a practical question. And question number 1C was a theory question. The 1A question was for 12 marks. It was for true or false with give reasons. The topics which were covered in December 2021 were capital revenue, final accounts, issue of shares, consignment and cash book. There were exactly 6 statements. Each statement was carrying 2 marks. You are required to answer whether it is true or false, and you are also required to write the reason. So there was no internal option in those 6 different statements. Then came question number 1B. It was a practical question, but most important, it was not a practical question involving any journal, ledger or final accounts type of question. It was purely calculation question. You were supposed to go for inventory valuation. It was a 4-mark question and the method which was asked was weighted average method. So no journal, no ledger, only calculation statement and then deciding the value of inventory. 1C was a theory question. Again, here they had given you 4 different concepts. Each concept was carrying 1 mark. You are required to explain those concepts. So 4 concepts, 1 mark each. So totally 4 marks. And the topic which was covered in all those 4 different small concepts was accounting concepts, conventions and principles. So here you can see capital revenue, issue of shares, consignment, cash book, final accounts, accounting concept, conventions and principles are the topics which were considered important by the institute for the purpose of your almost 16 marks of theory. So here you can get to know the weightage of theory and practical. There is one more question in the end where institute has put theory. Rest of the paper was all practical questions. Now the second question was again having 3 subparts, 2A, 2B and 2C. All the 3 were practical questions, but 2A was a presentation question. They had already given you a list of different balances and you were supposed to prepare trial balance out of it, only 5 marks. So very easy question it was. 2B was a depreciation calculation question. They had not asked to prepare the ledger accounts or to pass the journal entries for depreciation. They were only asking you, or they had only asked you to calculate the amount of depreciation under a WDV method. Simple question, 5 marks question. So trial balance, presentation question, depreciation, calculation question. And then in 2C, again a practical question, but this was an accounting question. It was a question based on the topic of cash book and BRS. And they had basically focused on the adjusted BRS part. That means cash book was given, some adjustments were given. Certain adjustments were talking about the errors or omissions, and certain adjustments were talking about timing difference. You are required to first of all adjust the cash book, and based on the adjusted cash book, then you are expected to prepare the BRS. That is how question number 2 was designed by them. 2A, B, C, all 3 were practical questions. 5 marks for presentation question of trial balance, 5 marks for calculation question of depreciation, and 10 marks for preparing adjusted cash book as well as afterwards preparing adjusted BRS. So this was a relatively easy question. I'm very sure that all of you are comfortable at BRS as well as trial balance. So 10 marks and 5 marks are probably going to be very much sure shot for all of you. Depreciation, depending upon your understanding of English, you can secure those 5 marks. Question. Third question was divided into actually 4 different parts: 3A, 3B, 3C1 and 3C2. Out of which 3, if you are decided to solve question number 3, then 3A was compulsory for you, 3B was compulsory for you. Out of 3C1 and 3C2, you can choose which one you can solve. So it's not 3A, B, C1, C2. It is 3A, B and C1 or C2. All the 4 different parts which were given by the problem or the exam were practical. 3A was practical question involving accounting. And they had basically asked journal entries. 10 marks. Question was of bill of exchange. And the most important part was they had asked entries only in the books of drawer. They had not asked entries for the drawer as well as drawee, only drawer. And it was not a question which was involving multiple different independent transactions. It was a question wherein there was a series of transactions between same drawer and drawee. So it was a relatively easy question. I'm very sure that bill of exchange you must have already studied in 12th standard and you must have studied very nicely for CA Foundation also. So here if you are deciding to go for question number 3, you would have sure shot got 10 marks. 3B was a calculation question again, no journal, no ledger, no final accounts, pure calculation, and the question was of average due dates, 5 marks question. But most important, it was mutual transactions. What is the meaning of mutual transactions? I hope you remember that sometimes average due date question may specify that same parties are not only one of the parties seller and one of the parties buyer. Those are the simple questions of average due date. But little complicated questions of average due date may involve both the parties are buying from each other. So both the parties are each other's debtor and creditor. In that case, the average due date calculation is little tedious, but still I am very sure that you will be in a position to get those 5 marks if you decide to go for question number 3. And then question number 3C1, it was accounting question. That means it was involving ledger accounts, no journal entries. It was account current by product method. I hope you remember now. You have studied very well. Account current can be prepared as a simple interest method. It can be prepared as product method. So the question here was a product method. And most important, they had not asked any red ink interest transaction. So it was a simple question without any red ink interest. But it was account current problem. So if you are uncomfortable with account current, if you are not very sure about how to calculate product, how to calculate the dates, which date is to be considered as base date, there is a chance that you may find it little difficult. So depending upon your preparation, you can choose whether to go for 3C1 or 3C2. 3C2 again was a calculation and journal question. It was a partnership question, rectification and redistribution of profits. So they had given you 3 partners and then they had given the existing profit which is already distributed, and after distribution they have understood that there are some mistakes. So they are asking you to find out what was the correct profit which should have been transferred and then pass the rectification entry. So this 3C2 question was involving 2 parts. First one, calculating the exact amount which should have been transferred to the partners and then passing the entry for the same. So single entry, it was not multiple different entries. One single entry was necessary which was going to specify how to rectify the mistake of wrong distribution of profits. So if I would have been at your place appearing for the examination, and if I would have felt okay, I'm account current, I'm a little bit uncomfortable. Many students sometimes find it difficult, especially at the last moment in exam. Then I would have chosen 3A, 3B and 3C2 because partnership we are all more comfortable. We have studied it in 12th standard. We have studied it for CA Foundation also. But obviously, if you are good at account current, go for it. That's not a problem. Question number 4A and 4B, only 2 parts. Both questions were of 10 marks. The first part, that is 4A, was of NPO, non-profit making organization. But most important, they had given an income and expenditure account already, and they were asking you to prepare receipt and payment as well as balance sheet. Now, if you are good at NPO, only then you should go for this particular question because there is an adjustment in relation to subscription and some other points also. Although they have not asked income and expenditure account because it is given in the problem. But if you are unaware or if you are little uncomfortable with the points of how to distinguish between R&P account and income and expenditure account, then those 10 marks are going to be little dangerous to achieve. And 4B is again a practical question, accounting It is in relation to admission of a partner. But most important, they have not asked balance sheet. They have asked only revaluation account and partners capital account, nothing more than that, and that for 10 marks. So if you are good at NPO, then question number 4 is a question which you should go for, because they have not asked income and expenditure. It is already given. You are just required to prepare receipt and payment account, which is nothing but a cash or bank account having opening balance on debit side plus receipts, payments on credit side, and then closing balance, and then balance sheet. Those 10 marks, if you can secure, then admission of a partner is going to be relatively easy, because it is asking only revaluation account and partners capital account. Balance sheet is not asked. What happens many a time, that if you are not reading the question paper and you are directly jumping into the solution, you may think that okay, this is admission problem, so I don't want to solve it because probably my balance sheet may not tally. But in reality, balance sheet is not asked. So there is no question of you unnecessarily missing your marks. If you are planning your paper very properly before actually solving the paper, there is a greater chance that you will be in a position to identify which one to solve, which one not to solve. Okay. Number 5, it was made up of 2 parts again, no 3 parts, only 2 parts, 5A and 5B. But here question number 5A was only for 5 marks and 5B was for 15 marks. 5A was consisting of journal entries, only rectification of errors, and that too rectification of errors. I hope you remember there are 3 types of rectification of errors: before preparing trial balance, after preparing trial balance, and after preparing final accounts. Here they had asked before preparing trial balance. It was quite easy question, 5 marks straight away in your pocket. And question number 5B is accounting question that asks final accounts of manufacturing entities. But again, balance sheet was not asked. So you are supposed to prepare manufacturing account, trading account, and profit and loss account. So question number 5A and 5B, I am sure that if I would have been at your place, I would have surely solved it and I would have got my 20 marks there. If I'm comfortable at NPO and admission of partner, I'll go for question number 4 also. But if question number 4 NPO is somewhat difficult for you to get, especially in the exam conditions because of tension, then I'll skip to question number 5. That will again give you the full marks, because rectification very simple, and final accounts of manufacturing entities, second effect is not expected, balance sheet is not asked, so it is actually speaking going to give you 20 marks. Question number 6. Here again you will find that they have given one theory and one practical question. The practical question was of journal entries. It was of issue of shares. But most important, this issue of share was very simple. It was at par. There was no oversubscription. So there was no refund. There was no question of any application money kept in reserve for the purpose of adjustment against allotment. Nothing of that sort. Plus the share issue was at par. So there is no need of securities premium accounting. However, the problem was having 3 different types of forfeiture. So if you are good at forfeiture, this is 15 marks straight away given to you. Very easy question. And 6B was a theory question. It was asking you to discuss certain points. All the points were from the topic of accounting process. 2 points were there. Each point was having 2.5 marks. So here you can see that institute had given 12 marks for theory here in the first question, 4 marks for theory here in the first question, 16 marks. The 16 marks theory is compulsory for all of us. And those students who will go for question number 6, then they may have to go for 5 marks extra of theory. So for those students, it will be 16 marks theory and 5 marks, that means 21 marks theory. But all those students who are not attempting question number 6 and ready to go for NPO and admission of a partner, then for them it will be only 16 marks theory, and rest of the marks, 84 marks, will be only for the purpose of practical. So now probably you must be in a position to understand how to solve this particular question paper, at which topic you are comfortable, which topic you may find little difficult, and accordingly you can decide the order in which you are going to solve. In the next video, I'll consider only question number 1. Thereafter, second video for question number 2, likewise, and then there will be a series of different videos which I'll put it under playlist, which you can refer for the purpose of understanding December 21 paper. So thank you very much. See you in the next video.